Hello and welcome to today's Facebook and LinkedIn Live. Today I'm delighted because I'm going to be chatting with James Hall, who is a coach. I'm going to be talking all about how you can build momentum and create success in 2023. So we're live today on Facebook and on LinkedIn. If people can let us know if you can hear us all okay, that'd be brilliant. Give us a like or an emoji. Let us know if there are any problems with sound, etc. But we're going to be talking today all about how you can create and build a success and momentum in 2023 and have a brilliant year. So thank you so much, James, for joining me today. It's an absolute pleasure to chat with you and find out a little bit more about you.
Great to catch up with you.
Experiences. No, before we dive into this, do you want to give us a bit of a background to you, because you haven't always been in coaching, have you? It was something that
No. I mean, my background is sales. I was 19 years, I think it was, in sales background, 18, 19 years in sales background. I ran sales teams and ran a sales division. And then in 2017, I moved roles. But back in 2013, I had the opportunity to do a degree in coaching. And that's really where it all started. I did the degree, learned that I actually loved what I was learning, and since then I've utilized coaching both with my day-to-day business and then started my own coaching business in 2020.
Wow, that was good though. So was it your employer that paid for that degree?
Yeah, they looked after me, and they gave me all the support they could. So we've had mentors and coaches in our business for a lot of years, and so they gave us the opportunity to do the coaching degree. And put my hand up a little bit more of, I don't have a degree, so I'd like to do one, rather than coaching as a degree I definitely want to do, and found I loved it.
Was it a 3-year course, like a traditional 3-year course, or was it like
No, it's called ILM level 5, so it's the equivalent of a degree, but you do it in your own time. So I did it in 12 months.
My friend, she does this, she's a coach through her work, actually. She does it in her job.
Yeah.
And I know that she sort of flirted a little bit about doing it maybe a bit like you, I think, alongside the job, like, her own business and then the job. Yeah. I think it's brilliant when employers support people.
They've been so supportive to me. And it was one of those, if it wasn't for my boss in 2019, the business wouldn't have started, because he sat with me at my annual appraisal and said, when are you going to start the business? And I said, no, I can't start the business. This will happen or that'll happen, and you'll fire me. He says, why would I do that? So no, he's been supportive, and the business has been super supportive. And as a result,
so you're still there?
Yeah, still there. So we're on lunchtime now. So if anybody's watching at work, I'm having my lunch break. So that's what we're doing.
And then you just do your coaching like in the evening, and
bookend the day, so people can book me either before or after Imperial, and I fit it in that way. And they're the things you learn as you go through, how to best manage your time. And things like Calendly for some don't work, but for me they work amazing, because there's only so many slots in my week that I'm available, and that's when you can take me. So it's actually learning
to do before or after work.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's brilliant. I love it, because a lot of companies, I know we're digressing, but a lot of companies are always, you read about in the paper that are concerned that their employees that are working remotely and maybe got a side hustle or another job or doing something else. And obviously you have, but your employer knows about it.
Yeah.
What would you say to companies that are nervous about their employees working from home, maybe doing something else?
I mean, I managed sales teams from 2003 to 2017. So most of the time they're remote. If you trust your people, then you trust your people. If you don't trust your people, it's like a chain. Your issue is further back than whether I am or I am not working for them today. As I say, I will do my full day today. It'll be lunch hour now. And they know that they'll get their outputs out of me. And they've had outputs out of me for 23 years, like I have had all my sales teams, my sales managers. It comes down to trust. It comes down to the environment. It comes down to a culture where everybody feels respected and trusted. And if you haven't got that, then yes, I can see why you've got the issues. But I trust my service providers where I am. There has to be trust, doesn't there? Like you trusted me to turn up today for this. There's always got to be an element of trust, communication, and respect.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And thanks, Zabe, for letting us know that you can hear us. Okay, so we're going to be talking today about how to build momentum and create success in 2023. And I think, we talked a little bit about it in the session before, didn't we? And one of the first things maybe is people don't know maybe what they want to do, how to do it. So if someone's thinking, I am a bit stuck at the moment, I definitely want to change in 2023. I haven't felt I've enjoyed this year, I've reached more potential, I've felt frustrated. What would you say to them?
What I would say is the very, very first thing is be clear on knowing yourself. So, for example, I'm better in the mornings than I am in the evenings. So if you know you're a morning person or an afternoon or an evening person, give yourself some time over the Christmas break to think about you, and then go through everything about you. There's a thing I use called the Wheel of Life. I have a version. If anybody wants it, I'm more than happy to share it, but Google it. There's 100 out there. But look at the really important aspects of your life, monitor where they are today, give yourself a score out of 10, and say where your score wants to be 12 months from now. So let's just say it was personal development, or it was money, or it was giving back to your community, whatever that would be, and it's a figure now, then be clear on what are those important things to you. Understanding your why is so, so important. What are the things that are really, really important to you in the next 12 months? And if it's career progression, look at that. If it's more time for yourself, look at that. If it's getting fit or spending time like joining a club or being with other people, because lots of people are lonely at the moment, be really clear on what it is that you want, not what society expects, not what everybody expects. And there's lots of things out there at the moment, and I always forget the name. I think it's Million somebody. They put the diagrams out there, and it says 5 years ago it was title and money, but it isn't. It's so much more than that, isn't it? So be clear on what it is you want. So give yourself half an hour. If it's in the morning, like me, do it in the morning, inside or outside, wherever you're most comfortable being you. Just grab yourself the Wheel of Life, start off with that, and then just start thinking, what do I want? So if I want to change jobs, for an example, do I want to work for a big organization or a little organization? What is it I actually really want to do? So if I like being outside, why would I take a job inside? And I'm sure my daughter will kill me for saying this. If she was looking for a new job, a lot of people look for new jobs for the value, the price. She's scared of dogs. So if they offered her 3 times what she earns, but she's working at a dog's kennel, she'd last a day if she was lucky. So don't just look at the value, the price on the advert. Look, what is it that you want? And if you do 35, 40, 50 hours a week and you come home smiling, that is actually worth so much more than earning 50% more and being miserable. Yes, you've got a bottom line you've got to put, but that's part of your planning, isn't it? What is important to me? And if you can take a pay cut but give yourself a better quality of life, that's a potential like in 10 must to work to. If, however, you can get more money and a perfect job, well, that's happy days, isn't it? So for me, make some time over Christmas. Think about what is that perfect job for you, indoors or outdoors, large company, small company, variety of life, consistency of wherever you've been. I did 7 years in insurance, and I did enjoy most of them. But when I got to the end, I realized that I was standing at the same spot every day, getting the same train in and the same train out. The monotony I didn't enjoy. Variety is a huge influencer for me. So that was one of the reasons I left. I didn't realize at the time that was the case, but just spend a bit of time and think about you.
Yeah, obviously, and some people probably like that routine, don't they? I guess the challenge is feeling very comfortable and knowing yourself and having that confidence and that self-assurance to not compare yourself to others. And that is tricky. And I assume even the most confident people in the world, will struggle to look at their friend, their, sibling, someone, maybe if you're a business owner, someone doing the same business as you and thinking they are doing X or they're earning X. And then it's quite hard to feel, it's quite easy then to feel inadequate. So what advice would you give, to stop comparing yourself to others?
I think it's really important that you compare yourself to yourself and see where you've come from in the last 12 months. So anybody who follows me on LinkedIn will see I often talk about the Book of Success, and it's capturing your success stories. And if you think about the year that we've had and the challenges that we've faced, are you in a better position now than you were 12 months ago? What successes have you had? What learnings have you taken? And let's be fair, what catastrophic failures have you had, which, you've learned from? And I often find that there are so many people influencing on social media these days, and they've all got this perfect life. But realistically, have they? We all see the space on the screen now, and we can see what we can see. But what's in front of that screen? What's the other side of that screen? Is it as perfect as they make it out to be? And there's very few who put it all out there 24/7, because none of us do. So I would say nobody's life is as perfect as they probably portray it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, if the next coach, either way of me, is making more money or is having a better lifestyle, good luck to them, because there's some really great coaches out there. But it's about you, and it's about what makes you happy. So when I got introduced to the Wheel of Life 5 years after I did, or 4 years after I did my degree, basically the phrase that I wrote with my coach that day was, I was in thunderstorms. My life was in a thunderstorm. And what I was trying to work through was to the sunshine. And that's the phrase I always use now. We all go through thunderstorms, everybody. And then the sunshine. I'll name drop a guy because I think he's fantastic, Richard McCann. Richard McCann's a great story to follow, but he talks about the up and the down. For every up, there's a down, and after every down, there's an up. And that's the way it goes. And when I read that a few years ago, he's absolutely right. Think about our own journeys of the year. We're riding high one day, then the next day we're down at the bottom. It might not be a massive gulf, but we don't have 7, 8, 10 great days in a row, do we? Right. Confidence putting away. This time last week, I had no cold. And this time next week, hopefully I won't either. So compare yourself to yourself. Have your people who inspire you, yes. Have people you admire and you use as mentors, absolutely. But don't beat yourself up too much. So the other thing I always suggest people do at this time of year is give yourself a bit of time, another cup of tea maybe, and just capture your year. Think back through your year. Maybe go through your Facebook posts or your LinkedIn messages and just think, actually, yeah, these are things I achieved this year. I got to that town in the country and had an ice cream, which I've always wanted to do. I got abroad again for the first time since COVID. We got abroad for the first time since 2019. Christmas, we haven't spent family with Christmas since 2019 because we got COVID last Christmas. So that's going to be a success, provided we don't get it this year. But you know what I mean? There's lots of successes to have, and we take a lot of things for granted, including our health. So we got through COVID. That's a success. So it's just take that time and book a success it.
I love that. Yeah. Do you know what we have all? Yeah. I mean, I had COVID last year. So yeah, fingers crossed I get it again this year. And when you look back, as a collective, we've been through so much, haven't we, during the pandemic, and then to have come out of it, I think we all deserve a pat on the back.
Absolutely.
Surviving that time.
Yeah. The other thing that's always quite interesting, when you've got us on this today, and when you set StreamYard up, when you set that up, it was new and it was like, oh my God, is it going to work? And now you're confident with it. So when I got Calendly, or when you get Zoom for the first time, how many people were confident in using that 3 years ago? And yes, there's going to be that guy or girl who is absolutely world class, and we compare ourselves and go, I'm not as good as them. But just compare yourself to you 2 or 3 years ago. Where were you with StreamYard, with Zoom, with Calendly, with all this? and that's the successes we all need to take. But we sort of forget about them and just go on to the next thing. And we don't stop enough. And we used to do this in sales. We didn't stop enough, celebrate our success and move on. We would go to the next thing. And that's really important.
Why should you celebrate? Why do you think it is important to stop and celebrate your success then?
Well, I mean, the research will say it's good for it gives you that boost. It gives you that motivation. It gives you that belief, self-belief. It's like, actually, yeah, I did achieve that. I did get onto StreamYard without any problems. That's a good thing. So next time you go onto it, you can go back to your memory box. You can open up the memory box and go, I can do that. So you're building in. This is why I call it the book of success. We've all got a memory bank in our minds. I call it like a filing cabinet or a book. You open up the filing cabinet and you go, I can do that, or I can't do that. So just stopping and celebrating, it means you're sort of stamping the book. It's you're capturing it, but it also gives us that positive buzz as well. It gives that adrenaline buzz. So it's that, oh, I like that. So I want to push myself for the next thing. So you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone every single time. And you want to do the next thing and the next thing. And it's always nice to get a bit of a celebration, isn't it? So it doesn't need to be big. So it doesn't need to be, I did my first LinkedIn Live with you today. I'm going to buy myself a Ferrari, A, because I couldn't afford one, and B, it's not realistic. But whether it's a cup of coffee this afternoon, or whether it's a piece of cake tonight, or whether it's just 15 minutes just celebrating it afterwards, whatever that would be, it's that little bit of take it and like go, yeah, that was really good today, and celebrate that. I've never done one of these before, so I'm pushing myself today. So there will be a little celebration afterwards that I managed to get on.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what? It is nerve-wracking, actually. It's always like, will the tech work? And then it does, and then you're like, wow,
yeah,
it's worked.
It's easy to take it for granted, though, isn't it? And forget how successful you've been with this.
Absolutely. So what do you think holds people back from achieving their potential, or, stops them from doing what they actually want to do?
There's many different things, but if you were going with broad brushes, fear would probably encapsulate one of the big broad brushes. Fear of failure, fear of succeeding, fear of change, fear of standing out. Fear is a terrible way of affecting all of us. And I was scared of dogs for 30 years, and that's one of the reasons why I was talking about walking in lockdown, is because I could walk places I couldn't have walked for a long time. And fear stops us from doing so much, and it's not easy to take the first step. When people say to me, so the only thing I've got to do this week is X, and I went, yeah, well, that's not very much, is it? I went, let's see. And they come back and they've got a huge smile, and they're telling me that they've achieved it, and it might not be massive on day one, and in a year from now they look back and it might not be very massive when they write it down, but that was the thing that got the ball moving. And we've all seen snowballs and avalanches. You have to build momentum, so you need that first little win. So don't set yourself too difficult a first task. Don't set yourself too many first tasks. That's where people go wrong. They get that initial motivation, so they go, yeah, and then they crash. So just slow and steady wins the race than trying to do too much too quickly.
It's a bit like the gym, isn't it? You'll get a lot of people. If you go to the gym, I don't go to the gym, but you will get a lot of people, will go the first few weeks of January and will go all the time.
Yep.
And then you won't see them again for the rest of the year.
Yeah, here's the story. So it is Christmas 2019. I am far too overweight now. To the point that somebody's stolen all my shirts and they've replaced them with smaller sizes. It was weird. So they're all the same shirts. But anyway, I was overweight, and my pal said to me, let's do couch to 5K. I don't fancy that. So I didn't have the buy-in, but he went on and on and on, and I agreed to do it. He did the first couple of weeks, then he got injured and he quit. But I'd already set in my mindset I was going to do it. So we finished that the week before COVID started, but I hadn't lost all the weight I wanted to lose. So I said to my wife, what am I going to do? And she said, when I wanted to lose weight years ago, I went walking. So that makes sense. So I started walking. In the first week of COVID, my son and I did 7 walks. We did a walk every day.
Yeah.
It's easy, Dad. But let's do a walk every day whilst COVID's on. I went, no, that's too much, son. That's too much. And I like the power of 3. So I said, I tell you what, why don't we'll do 3 walks a week. He went, yeah, but that doesn't sound very many. I said, let's see how we go. Now, he didn't last many weeks, but what I did is I kept that going throughout COVID, 3 walks a week, every week through COVID, every single week. And I did that for 2 years and the weight came off. But the point was, in week 1, you do 7 because you're excited. In week 2, it drops to 6. In week 3, 5. In week 4, it goes down. And then you hit the I quit moment. So if you watch the change curve goes up, it comes down, and it goes up again. So basically what you're seeing is that people hit that valley of despair and they think, oh, I'm failing. They're probably still at the same rate or a higher rate they were at the start, or the same rate, but they feel, because they've had that up, they're now below where they started. So they get to the valley of despair, the I quit moment. If you can get past that, which whether it be a coach or an accountability or your friend, if you can get past that I quit moment, you will go again. Problem is, too many people quit. That's the bit. Get through that, you're away.
Wow, that's really powerful, you know. It reminded me a bit of a book I read recently, Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've read that.
Brilliant book. Brilliant book.
Yeah, and it's just about like building those small habits, and then it sort of gets to the point, the tipping point where you know, a lot of people give up, whatever
Yeah.
it might be.
And you see it on LinkedIn. There's a few diagrams people use about the diamond miner and stuff like that. They get so close and then they give up. And it's just that going through that, going, just keep going. Don't quit, because you never know. Then when it's a bit like business, just keep going. Whilst you've still got £1 in the bank account, you're still going. So just keep going. And then hopefully next year, that client will turn up, or that opportunity will turn up, or things will start to click. But just keep going. And okay, if it's a disaster and you're thousands in debt, that's different. But whilst you've still got an opportunity, just keep going.
Actually, so that's a good question. So when's a good time to quit something? You know, we talked about keep going. Obviously, there must be some point where it's something, if it's a business or a job, you know, you've started a job and you're not enjoying it, and it's like,
and I think going, this is
quit.
Yeah. So if you take what I was talking about a few minutes ago in terms of it's a morning, I'm going to write my perfect plan for next year, whatever that would be. But let's go with a job. So somebody's in a job and they're not happy this year. What I would say is write a checklist of what you want from your job. So that checklist will be, as we were saying before, large or small company, indoors or outdoors, frequency of being in the office, all the criteria that's important to you. What would be in your job of a perfect? What would be in your checklist of a perfect job? Not company, not salary, not position. What is that checklist of the perfect job? Now you've got that, rank them, and then see where the priorities are. And if you're in a job which is not got any of your top 5 ranking, maybe a time to question of where it is you want to work. And it's the same with a business. If your business is doing, I wish I could remember the firm now. It was in Good to Great. It was Kimberly Clark. They were in paper mills for a long, long time, and they were making paper to sell A4 paper. They moved out of that into toilet roll.
Yeah, I'm going to say
their toilet roll now. So they literally burnt all the bridges, and they went to this. Good to Great is a fantastic book. If you've not read that, I definitely recommend.
No, I'm going to read it. I'm going to write Good to Great. I'm going to read
Good to Great. But they take the 30 or top 20 companies over a period of time, and if it's not working, it is time to change. But you need to have a checklist to compare it against. You don't just go, it's cold today, I don't fancy being a gardener anymore. Well, you fancy being a gardener because, oh yeah, so there's always ups and downs. Remember what we said at the start, from an up, there's a down, there's a down, there's an up. So it's winter now, it's cold being a gardener, but you love being a gardener in the summer. So maybe you become a gardener 6 months of the year, and the 6 months of the year you do something else. But you can have 2 hats. I have 2 hats. Lots of people have 2 hats nowadays. So yeah, it is time to quit if your checklist is not being achieved. And that's why I would say the Wheel of Life is fantastic. I'd say I have a copy which I've won it sort of as business and it has personal, but you can Google that. So it's not as though it's you have to sign up to my sales funnel or anything like that. Go onto Google, put Wheel of Life in there, and see what there is in there. And I think there's business ones in there as well. And if you aren't meeting your top 3, top 5 checklist criteria, it's time to question yourself.
And you talked a little bit before we jumped on the call then about your real reality.
Yeah.
So I guess it's quite easy to say, yeah, just quit your job. If it's
no,
you need to have them all, you know. So how do you identify what your real reality is and how your dreams and aspirations can fit with that?
I think reality, and this is where Book of Success comes in, is that when I was in my thunderstorm, I would listen to my little voice and it would be telling me all sorts of things. Most of them were negative. In fact, probably all of them were negative. When you've got your Book of Success, the only feeling nobody can override your feelings. I can't say to you, you don't feel like this, because nobody can do that. The feelings are personal. The only thing that I can do to override my current feeling is to compare it to facts. So if I say I feel as though I'm a failure, Okay, well, my book of success says I've been successful on these things. So is that true? And you can start questioning your real reality with that feeling by taking your book of success. So your book of success, writing it today is a fantastic feeling because you're actually catching all the great things you've done this year. And I suggest writing it down because writing is, they say, is one of those cognitive things that helps. But type it, record it if you prefer. People are visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Some people take pictures. That's absolutely fine. Whichever your preferred style is, create your book of success for you. But when you want to recheck in on your reality, then you go back to your book and just go, actually, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
I can do this. And my reality is this. And we all need to step back sometimes. And very, very regularly as a coach, I'll be talking to one of my clients who'll be saying, I'm a failure because of this, or I didn't achieve what I was supposed to do because of this. I go, okay, let's just rewind a bit. Hang on a minute. You can't network. You've just told me where your business has grown this year through networking. So can we just double check your reality here? Yeah, I suppose. And then you just go back and you just check that. So just taking a step back and just getting somebody to hold your words accountable and say, you tell me you can't network, but you've just told me you can. You've told me you can't do exercise, but actually you go walking how many days a week? Or you told me you can't, but you have. So whether you've got a coach, whether you've got a friend, whether you've got a mentoring group,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. And it's, you have somebody who does just pull you back from your false reality just to check in. And if, as I say, you've got your book of success, you can do this yourself. But it's good to have somebody. And as I say, having a network is very, very important.
Yeah. So important, especially, you read a lot about mental health, people, especially men. Actually, this
Yep.
is a real thing to support young men. Actually, what is your real reality, and the importance of actually talking and sharing and having somebody that, pulls somebody back from those, thoughts and
We're all going to have it this Christmas. We're all going to meet the uncle or the auntie we haven't seen for 12 months, 3 years, and say, how are you? Have you had a good year? Yeah, I've had a fine year. It's been a good year. It's been okay. It's been all right. But if it hasn't been all right, there should be somebody you could speak to and say, I've had a terrible year. It'd be really great just to be, and we should be able to have those conversations. Now, we don't even have the conversations when we say we've had a fantastic year. I was with somebody the other week. I'll try not to give too much. I was with somebody the other week who wasn't a client, and it's been all right this year. It's been all right this year. So can we just go through all the things you've told me that you've done brilliantly this year? Well, I suppose so. And over the next half an hour, so you just tell me them all. And we're out having a walk, and they just told me for the next half an hour. I didn't say very much, just kept prompting them. You've forgotten that one. Oh, yeah. So their all right year was probably the best year they've ever had. But we use the wrong vocabulary, don't we? It's been all right. But
yeah,
if that's all right, what would fantastic be? And equally, if it has been a terrible year, talk to somebody. Don't hold it up. And we ran into somebody a couple of weeks ago who isn't in a good place. And they were just, I'm really struggling at the moment, but I won't hold you up. I said, well, no. You will hold us up. You're not holding us up at all, but we will make some time. And we just stood there and we had a chat with them for half an hour. Whether it helped, I don't know. We're still going through that process. But we do all need to support each other a little bit more. And if we see somebody at the moment struggling, it doesn't take much to give them a few minutes of a time. And equally, my other challenge, I think there's 500,000 people who are going to be lonely this Christmas. They say they're not going to speak to somebody for 5 days. When I go walking, there's nothing better when you see somebody walking towards you. Just give them a smile and say good morning. Sometimes they engage in a conversation, sometimes they don't. And I was walking the other day, and there was a little old lady pushing a little trolley along. And I said, do you need a hand to get across the road? She goes, no, my dear, you're fine. And we just had like 10-second chat, but she smiled and she made me feel brilliant. And hopefully my smile to her made her feel brilliant too. So if your listeners want a challenge from me today, yes, the book of success for themselves, capture your wins, absolutely. Set yourself 3 things to go for. But next time you're walking down the street and you see somebody walking on their own, just say hello and smile. My wife goes mad. She goes, you say hello again. So I say hello to everybody. It's just a nice thing to do.
It is a nice thing to do, you know, and you do notice it.
So just smile and say hello, and see how it makes you feel. Because I'm sure if they're one of those people who are on their own for the next 5 days, you could have just brightened up their whole day.
Absolutely. Oh, been brilliant conversation. Where can people find you, learn more about you and the services you offer?
If they find me on LinkedIn, I'm sure you'll put a link on there, or they just look up on Google James Hall Coaching. They'll find me. They'll find me on that.
Brilliant. Oh, it's been such a fabulous conversation. I've really enjoyed it. And if anyone's like missed bits of it, then all the replays are on the website. So thank you so much, James, for joining us today. Thank you, people that have watched and now and on the replay. Thank you.